Hello everyone, happy Sunday. We are here live coming to you from Bat City Comic Professionals on a Sunday night, which means it must be time to wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about all of this week's indie and small press new releases. And it's, as always, going to be a great, fun time. And before we start talking about all the great books and all the fun things we did this week and all the things coming up in the next week, we obviously need to wind down our weekend. So we're going to kick it off by talking about which wine we've got. So this is Pico Andico, and it's a Malbec. I almost forgot what it was. And it's Argentinian, which is usually where most Malbecs seem to come from. And this one says it's black cherry and plum, full bouquet, full-bodied red wine, and it's supposed to pair really well with cheeses and meats and things like that, which is, kind of what I expect. So we're going to see how it is. That's nice. Very simple. No, real burn or kick or anything, which I expected because it was a cheaper wine.
Mine's spicy.
No, it's got a spicy, but not like like the wine, heartburn kick. Doesn't have any of that.
Right, it's not acidic.
Not.
It's buttery.
It's very buttery, and it does have a little bit of pepper taste. It is probably warmer than it should be because our air conditioner is out. But so it does have a little bit of I can tell that it's warm, but it's red, so it's okay. Yeah, it's got a nice little spice to it. And it relaxes instead of how some of them we talk about all the time with the build, and it's it's really buttery and sweet, and then it kind of builds to a spice. This one kind of, you take the bite or the drink and you get a little bit of the flavor, and then it kind of kicks into the spice, and then it rolls into the butter, which is kind of nice.
I like it.
Yeah. And this one, this was actually at Winn-Dixie for buy one, get one free, right? Yeah, which is crazy, which is insane.
They also had your Tempranillo that you like, the Campo Viejo.
Ooh.
So they had good selection.
Yeah, they did. Did you already share this before I shared this with everybody?
I did, yeah. You all shared.
Oh, fantastic. I was going to double share. Okay. Yay.
Taken care of for you.
Thank you. So this is so cheap and good, which is a rarity. We seem that most of our wines on the show are usually between $9 and $15. Would this be closer to the 9 or closer to the 15?
It was a $12.99 bottle.
$12.99. That's not bad. And then you got a second one for free. So
right.
That's actually fantastic. And they do mix and match, right, at Winn-Dixie when it's the buy one get one.
I'm not sure.
I think you can. I think I have before. I've definitely done the Cab and the Pinot of the same brand. So I would imagine that even if you cross brands, you'd be fine, because I've done the different ones. But, it's good. Again, Argentinian Malbec, delicious flavor. I'm going to slide this over because we're going to be talking about it lots more probably throughout the show. So, like I said, we're going to talk about what we did this week. So, actually, before I put my wine down, I did just look online right before we started when we posted our picture, and I learned something. Today, May 19th, is actually the anniversary of the town of Bradenton becoming a town. So today, and it was Bradenton at the time, with the I and the W, and of course it wasn't, I think they said, until a few years, when they made it a city, they officially they took out the I, and it wasn't until later that they took out the W. But so anyway, happy 1903. So what is that, 121 years, right? That's crazy. Yeah, so happy birthday, Bradenton. We love you, and stay friendly. All right, now I can put my wines down. Okay, so this week we had a lot of fun, exciting things going on. Yesterday, Saturday, was our comic creation workshops, and we had so many of you. Oh my gosh, we had a crowded room. Shout out to Mr. Santiago teaching the class for the first time by himself. He killed it. It was fantastic. And oh my gosh, the stories that you guys created. We came up with some really, really great things, including Teenage Groot as a babysitter. for baby Yoda. It was like full on, like, best way to make all of the money in the world. So it was a lot of fun. We saw some original characters. We saw some great fan fiction-y type stories, all kinds of great stuff. And then we also launched Slam Academy yesterday. So if you haven't heard about that, that is our little more deep dive program for kids and teens who feel like, you know, we've done the comic creation workshop. We love to go home. We love to tell our own stories, whether that's in traditional format, comic format, whatever it is. This is a program where you can take classes on writing or art or both and learn how to really develop your stories out. And those classes are going to be Saturdays at 3:30 from now until August 6th. So check it out. Look at the calendar on our Facebook page or our website, batcity.org. And then you can just go specifically to the Slam Academy page, find the information in the sign-up sheets. What else did we do? Oh my gosh, I feel like we did. Oh yeah, things just blow together like so much. So we had one event this Thursday at the Booker Middle School for their first ever Comic-Con. So thank you so much for inviting us out for that. That was incredible. And thanks to Alex and Barrett for manning the booth there. And then Matt and myself attended this Thursday. We were a part of the launch for the Snoopy in Space, the To the Moon exhibit at the Bishop Museum of Nature and History and Science. I always wanted to say nature. But the Bishop Museum here in Bradenton, it was really fantastic. They have a special To the Moon exhibit all about Snoopy and his partnership with NASA. So there's a lot of Snoopy comic strips, a lot of NASA photos of the space missions that went up. If you don't know, there is Snoopy actually went into space. Since then, Snoopy has had his show. There's all kinds of information that I don't want to spoil for you. But what's really cool is we got to be a part of the exhibit by donating some of our Peanuts and Snoopy specific paraphernalia to be on exhibit. So if you go in to the exhibit at the Bishop anytime between now and August 15th, you will see the didactics that show on loan from Bat City Comic Professionals, which is super cool. It's always been a goal of mine to be a part of a museum exhibit, so this was awesome and incredible. So thank you to the Bishop for helping make that happen, and look for some more information about ways that we are going to be helping out with the To the Moon exhibit all summer long. I'm so excited for that. All right, this week coming up, we do have our Story Spelunkers meeting this Saturday at noon, which is before the Slam Academy at 3:30, which if you do not want to miss Slam Academy this Saturday at 3:30. Slam 3:30 this Saturday is figure drawing with Adrian, who is the artist of our Dick Tracy exclusive. So you are going to want to come and learn how to draw people and fabrics and movement and everything from Adrian because he's so good at it. But at noon, kiddos of all ages can join us for Story Spelunkers, where we read a book out loud together and then we deep dive and do some activities. And we are going to be reading Primer issue 1. You may have already read this in graphic novel form, but what's really cool is that DC is now releasing it in single issues for kids who would prefer to read the single issue format. So we are going to be reading this issue 1. We're going to read it out loud. We're going to talk about some really cool things about the way art and visuals can build visuals and way words can build visuals. And then we're going to do some painting. And so we're going to do some of our own magical paint stuff during that class. So come prepared. We'll try to get some smocks or something for kiddos close, since we are going to be doing some little painting activities. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's at noon this Saturday. This Thursday, we also have our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night at 8 p.m. I'm super excited. It's one of my favorite days of the month. It's going to be so great. So come hang out with me, talk about all the things that you nerd out about, and let's have some fun together. I think that might be it on the calendar this week. That is external. So if not, double check me. Read the calendar. Go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our website, anywhere you want to find your events and find some events. I'm going to take one more drink and then we're going to start talking about comics. Yes. No, Alfred, I should get those books this week probably, because it's been 2 weeks since I checked in with them, and it usually takes 2 weeks for Diamond to get books. So we will probably be talking about Alien Passage next week. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Yes, I know. I've been waiting to talk about it because I've already read it, but I feel mean talking about a book that I got to read and nobody else gets to read, which is why I always wait to talk about them until they're actually in the building. And so hopefully we'll get to talk about it next week. But we are going to talk about some really cool books right now. Oh, time out before I do that. Alfred Page, since you are watching, I had a gentleman in the store today who picked up Blowtorch and was like, this is from my boy Alfred. Every time I see him, I got to buy all his books, and I'm happy to see it on a shelf in a comic store, so I'm picking it up today. So really excited for that moment. Wanted to share that with you. All right, we're going to kick it off with Ice Cream Man issue 39 from Image Comics. If you've never read Ice Cream Man before, you can honestly and truthfully jump in right here or anywhere else you want, because it is a horror anthology series. I almost feel bad saying it's a horror anthology because it's really just kind of like a life anthology. I always say it's an existential dread anthology series, but I really love this issue, and you're probably, if you are taking any of Adrian's classes during Slam this year, you're going to hear about it, because this is all about a family who gets into a car accident, and in the writing, W. Maxwell Prince, the creator, says that, this issue should only take 5 seconds long because a car accident only takes 5 seconds, but it's going to take 28 pages, and the reason why is we're going to decompress. And decompression in comics means when we show something go on for longer than it should, and the way that we take it from panel to panel to panel, and we kind of show the same image over and over a little bit closer to kind of tell a story. He's like, I'm going to do that through this comic right now. All of these people in this car accident, he tells you this on like the first line, all of these people in this car accident are dead. But we're going to decompress that, and we're going to see what it actually looks like when your life flashes before your eyes, and whether that's the future, the past, the now, the nothing, whatever it is, like what does that 5 seconds of impact look like for somebody, and what does it look like when a comic creator decompresses that moment and turns moments of people's lives into art. It's fantastic, as always. Everything in Ice Cream Man is about playing with the medium and how you can experience it, and this is such a good one. I finished reading it, and I immediately pulled our Slam Academy teachers aside and was like, all right, when y'all teach sequential storytelling, use this book, use this issue. Here's what it has all about in it. You've got to talk about it. It's going to be fantastic. It's such a great way to discuss sequential storytelling, and W. Maxwell Prince is just always on top of that. Up next, we've got House of Slaughter issue 23 from Boom Studios. This is your companion series to Something is Killing the Children. You are going to want to read, the last couple of House of Slaughter volumes. It's kind of been like really just genuinely a companion, almost like reading backstories or side stories that happen. And while this is technically still a side story, this is the first time that it really starts to bring everything together. We introduced a character named Jace Butcher in Volume 1 of House of Slaughter, and we learned about his house that used to exist, the House of Butcher, and the literal slaughter of those people and what went down with them, and Jace being the only original Butcher remaining. They are coming after him now, and he is coming after them just the same. And I'm hoping that we're gonna see like a Jace Erica team up at some point to just really take down all of these people. But we're starting to see the structure of how houses work against each other and with each other, and who's really aligned with what and how far like allegiances really can or cannot go in this whole world of demon slaying people, like secret societies. And it's gotten really, really messy politically speaking amongst all of these people so far, and it's just gonna get worse. So if you are reading Something That's Killing the Children, I would suggest starting to get caught up on House of Slaughter if you aren't, because it's gonna start bringing it all together. Dark Ride issue 12 from Image Skybound. This is the end of Dark Ride, which is I'm kind of sad because I really enjoy seeing what Joshua Williamson is doing with this deep, dark, scary theme park. But Dark Ride is the story of essentially what if Walt Disney had sold his soul to the devil to make an evil park instead of the happiest place on earth, and now his kids are vying for being next in line to run the park. And one of them, whose name is Halloween, is a girl who thinks that she deserves it because she is the most wicked and evil of the children and deserves everything that she's ever wanted because she's their dad's favorite little princess. And the other one, whose name is Sam, or Samhain, he is like, I'm the business-minded person. I have all these ideas. I should get to do it. And meanwhile, the park has basically come to life with all of its evil, and so the two are having to stand either together or apart, as we're going to see this in and against like this demonic park that their father has created, and the terribleness that their father himself has done for them. I don't want to like show you too much from the back since it is the last issue, so I'm just going to kind of like go back to some more of this front stuff. But it's fantastic. It's so good to see just like such a weird, unique story. Joshua Williamson started in the first issue with like, oh, I really love theme parks and I really love horror and I always wanted to put them together. And then in this issue, he's like, so I just took my kids to Disneyland, which I love. But after writing this whole series, I'm like looking at everything in the theme parks differently and like, what is the secret like darkness there? And like, is there evil lurking behind every corner? So it's cool to see how like even he has gotten into his own head about where this is going. Something Epic, issue 10 from Image Comics. This is one of my favorite series in comics right now, period, end of story. If you watched our Batastic Awards for 2023, you know that I voted this my book of the year. I'm really actually very sad to see it not nominated for an Eisner, but it's okay. You got your Batastic Award. That's cool. It's totally the same. It's totally not. I'm sorry.
There's no trophy.
There's no trophy. I'll make trophies someday. But this is the world of the Something Epic is that there are people who are epics, which means that you can see the imaginary worlds that other people create, because basically anytime you imagine something, it becomes real. And only you can see it for as long as you believe, and there are these epics who can. Volume 1 kind of followed a kid who had lost sight of that and then brought himself back because he needed to fix the world he had destroyed. In this volume, we are following a woman who is an epic, who is also a detective for these fictional characters, and so people have started disappearing. Gods are disappearing. Sherlock Holmes disappeared. A lot of characters just seem to be on something is happening to them, and so they are in the middle of an investigation. She's with her duck, who is not Howard. He will remind you of that constantly. But they are trying to figure out how they can figure out who is killing these people, taking these people, whatever is happening, and how they can save them before it's too late. And in this one, we get to meet a new character who has the ability to see beyond not only what the epics can see, but can kind of see imaginative thought before it even really happens, and helps it, bring it out. And they talk about essentially like when you have an idea, it's like birthing a child and like bringing it to life. And this is, the tree of life, which is the tree of ideas. And he is the man who oversees it and kind of helps those out in the same way, like you kind of help like you could help a butterfly like very carefully out of its chrysalis. Like this man kind of does this for ideas. And it's such a delicate process. And I just love the way Simon writes, the way he thinks about imagination, the way he talks about imagination. Volume 1 is in trade paperback form. If you have not read it yet, we have it. You should read it. It's fantastic. Fish Flesh, it's issue 6 from Image Comics and Jeff Lemire. This is going to be really hard to not spoil for Matt because I know he hasn't read it yet, because we are actually finally, for the very first time, getting a little bit of the lore of what the fish flies are and what the connection is. So I'm going to back up for you who haven't read Fish Flies yet. Basically, there's a man who commits a murder. He somehow turns into a giant bug, and he makes friends with a little girl who feels very lost and alone named Franny. Some of those things are true and some of them are not, based off of how the story plays out. But Franny and him have kind of been on the run, and they've come across some people who have some really weird belief systems and thoughts about these creatures and these people. And we are following the woman who is the mother of the young boy who was attacked, and she is suddenly able to, like, she has this vision essentially, which is this whole issue of this history of how these fish flies and these bug creatures and everything came to be, and we get to learn what that lore is and a little bit about this like town curse that may be hanging over all of them and what that's going to lead to. I'm really curious to see where this is going to go, because Chef Lemire is really great at cliffhangers and leaving you on the edge of your seat, but also really good at developing this lore and then going, okay, by the way, I'm going in this completely different direction now, and it's gonna make sense when we get to the end. So like the next issue may have nothing to do with this at all, and I'm gonna be like, what happened? Because like Franny's not even in this issue, so there's a whole nother story going on somewhere else, and I can't wait to see how Jeff ties it all together, because it's gonna be masterful in whatever way he does. I also love those books because they're always square bound, so there's a lot to each issue. Dead Detective issue 5 from Black Box Comics, and this is the end of the Dead Detective story. If you haven't read it yet, Dead Detective is all about a cop whose partner is killed, you know, and he's trying to do this investigation, ends up like going through this portal essentially that sends him to the afterlife, finds out that his partner is a cop in this other side of the world, like the dead side of the world, I guess I should say, in this like essentially purgatory place. And so he has been trying to do this investigation that would not only help solve problems for his partner on the dead side, but would help our living detective get back to his world. And they have been working on this situation, and now we are going to see that climax of whether or not they are able to stop the evil from not only spreading through the world of the dead, but through the world of the living before it is too late. So if you haven't checked into this one yet, here's the thing about small press books. A lot of people are like, oh, well, since it's close to the end, I'll just wait for the trade. There's not a guarantee that a small press is going to make a trade. It's a lot of money up front for small presses to create trade paperbacks or compilations of any kind of books, and when the numbers aren't there for small press single issues, a lot of times publishers aren't going to make the jump to a trade paperback, which again is more money for them, and a lot of stores won't make the jump to a trade paperback without being asked by a customer. So if you're like, hey, I know this is only 5 issues, I'll just wait for the whole thing to be collected, might not ever happen. So if something sounds interesting to you when you see a small press book that's, you know, like Image, obviously they're gonna make trades, Dark Horse, you know, those that like kind of level, but when it's like the smaller ones that you're like, I've never really heard of that publisher, but this sounds interesting, buy the comics in the single issue format, because it may be the only way that you're going to get them. We've got the return of Briar with issue 5. This is from Boom Studios. It has been about a year, I think, since Briar went on hold. We do have a trade paperback of volume 1 if you didn't catch it, but this is essentially a new version of Sleeping Beauty. You know, Briar Rose, as she's known, wakes up after the 100 years. So in this story, the prince never chose to kiss her and wake her up. He was like, what if instead we left her asleep and I ruled the country or the kingdom, and we make this alliance between our kingdoms and we don't need to involve the princess. And so she actually slept for her 100 years. And now she's woken up and the whole world's kind of crap and everybody kind of blames her, and they kind of, you know that there was some problems with her family and everything. And she wakes up and she thinks she's only been asleep for a few minutes, doesn't really know what happened. And so now she's been, for the last, 4 issues, she's been on a journey to essentially kill the Maleficent-style character, the fairy godmother who cursed her with this. And we're starting to see a little bit more of that story, and as she's having these dreams that are coming to her from that fairy woman. And it's like, ooh, is that the real story, or is there a completely different story that happened here? We're going to find out. What we get told in this one is a big flip for everything, and so I'm really curious to see where Christopher Cantwell takes that. I also like it because at one point in here she's like, oh, I have to climb this beanstalk and do something, and they were like, I think you're in the wrong story. And I just love those little nods to fairy tales. We've got The Displaced issue 4, also from Boom Studios. This is all about a town in Canada that one day a sinkhole develops in the town, and everybody that's within the town like sinks into this hole. and the town completely gets swallowed, enveloped, and then, unlike most sinkholes, the town closes, like the hole closes back up. And so these people find themselves just completely gone. Well, everybody who's from that town, who is not in the town when it sinks, finds themselves also completely not only displaced in the sense that, like, they don't have a home anymore, but nobody remembers that their town ever existed, and nobody knows who they are. They've completely erased from society. Like, their own family and friends who are, like, in other places have never heard of them. It's like none of them ever existed. And they're told by their wise sage of an old man who's been helping them that if they separate from each other for any, like, period of time, that they will be forgotten and they will disappear, just like the people that were in the sinkhole. And they've been working to stay together and kind of figure out if there's any hope for them. But in this issue, they're all kind of at their wits' end, and people start separating off, and we start seeing exactly what's going to happen for each one of them. And, you know, some of them, like, that's kind of what they're hoping for, and some of them are, like, trying to prove that, like, maybe this old man's just a crazy person. And you know, it gets really emotional in that issue. We've got The Cabinet, issue 4 from Image and the Syzygy imprint. This is one of the most off-the-wall looking books. I love, like, the completely different, like, art style that we see from here. And one of the things about this book is it's actually just kind of adorable and hilarious all at the same time, but also just great action, the way it's told in here. But this is all about a young girl who, when she was a child, her family was a part of a secret society that was basically supposed to, like, keep this demon entrapped and keep the world safe. And there was this whole cabinet, and it had all these, like, certain little artifacts that went in there that you had to put in line in a certain way and keep locked in a certain path. And the young girl was learning how to do it from her parents, and so she has all those, like, weird little kid names like Doohickey and Thingamabobby and Curly Corkscrew, like, kinds of stuff. And that's how her notes all are. Well, as a child, she thinks, oh, I'm going to play with this, and it's going to be fun, and I can do this. And she ends up unleashing all of the evil and the darkness, and her parents are possibly killed, possibly just disappeared. And so she's, as a teenager, like, college-age girl, is trying to figure out how to put it all back together again, but she's only got the notes that she made when she was a small child, so it's really funny to listen to her, like, try to sound serious about it, but she has to go off of the weird little kid terminology for everything, so it's really funny. But she's got a buddy that is traveling with her, and they are being chased down right now by members of possibly a different secret society, as well as, like, maybe people from the same secret society her parents were in. We're still not really 100% sure who all is coming after her, but we know that there's a lot of people, and if they can't make some decisions really quickly and save the day, we're gonna be in a world of trouble. We've got You and I, issue 4 from AWA. This is from your Resistance universe, but if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter, because you can still jump in. If you want to know what the Resistance universe means, it is a world where a bunch of people got a virus, and people who didn't die but got the virus and survived got superpowers. That's all you need to know. And this book specifically is about a character named You, and he is somebody who had the virus and ended up getting powers, and now his power is kind of that he sees the world essentially like a comic book, and has the abilities of a comic book character. And so he thinks he's fighting evils and injustices in that sense. He also believes that he was supposed to meet a girl named I, and in the very first issue, he did meet a girl named Isabel, and he was like, oh my gosh, you're her, you're I. She is a woman who got the virus and didn't die, but didn't get any powers. And so it's such an interesting thing, because we haven't seen that yet, but they have teamed up. They're kind of building their relationship right now, and we're going to see how that connection comes for them. But they also have a lot of people who are coming after both of them for various reasons, and so they're going to have to learn to defend themselves and each other all at the same time. I'm going to take a drink of this wine. I'm drinking Pico Andico. It's Malbec from Argentina. That is still very smooth. Very smooth.
Jammy.
It is very jammy. I know, I'm almost sad we don't have charcuterie supplies, because that would be really good with that blackberry jam. All right, up next we have Napalm Lullaby issue 3 from Image Comics. This is another Rick Remender book right now. He's also got Sacrificers going on, so he's got 2 big ones that are kind of barreling through. This is about a world where we've kind of built out a new like god system, and everybody falls in line to just suddenly blind faithfully follow this. And there is a woman and her brother who are kind of resistance fighters against this, because this has become just a like incredibly like fascist almost government, and so they're trying to figure out how to save everybody from it. And they have decided that they're going to like break into the central city and fight against the ultimate leader, but they need their dad to help them, who is totally against all of this. And so the 3 of them are breaking in, and it is so creepy, like how all the people are like, we can tell, like we can scan you and we can see if you've done anything wrong against our system, and they're coming after them. Well, she has essentially this power where she can do things like in her sleep. She goes to sleep and she can kind of control situations and dreams and reality and stuff from there. And her brother is a literal empath, and so he is actually like in this issue, as they're trying to make their way through this, he is feeling everybody's lies and everybody's darkness and anger and oppression, and it kind of has him freaking out. And so whether or not the 3 of them, because their dad is with them, are going to be able to make it through all of this, when he's freaking out and she has like a short fuse, like temperament, and he has a literal short fuse, because when he freaks out too much, like he actually catches fire, like when he overwhelms with emotions. And so one of them is going to go off, it's going to ruin everything, and they're not going to make it through, and we're going to find out whether or not they do. Justice Ducks issue 3 from the world of Darkwing Duck at Dynamite Comics and their Disney imprint that they currently have, which is still the weirdest thing. It will always be weird. This is, again, from the world of Darkwing Duck. This is all about the team that he hates being a part of, but that he absolutely 100% needs. And these are all just like episodes of Darkwing Duck, so they're easy one-offs that you can jump in anywhere. And in this one, it is Stegmutt's birthday, and all he wants is to go to a circus and see some clowns. And so they go to the circus as their superhero personas. The circus, of course, has something strange going on, and that is that there are no clowns, and Stegmutt is super disappointed. The last trick of the night is the incredible disappearing cabinet, and Goslin is the one who volunteers to be in it, and when she goes missing, Morgana and the Justice Ducks believe that something is awry, and so they have started searching her down. And they find out that there is a lot more to this circus than they intended to find. And until Stegmutt gets his clowns, all bets are off. It's fantastically fun. If you're a fan of Darkwing Duck and you're not reading these yet, you should absolutely grab them. And just grab any of them and just check it out, because it's going to be a fun time for fans of the show. We've got Principles of Necromancy, issue 2 from Magma Comics. Issue 1 of this just came out last month, and it set up an entirely new universe where we had a guy who was called Dr. Eyes, who seemed to be up to no good, I guess. A little bit of necromancy, kind of seems like there might be some alchemy, there's some wizards and some darkness, and he seemed like a very nefarious character just based on his look alone. In this issue, he meets a young girl who says that her mother is very sick and she needs a doctor to help her, but nobody will. And Dr. Eyes comes in and is like, I will help you, and I will do it for the cost of the disease inside your mother's mind. And so he performs the surgery and takes the diseased part of the mom's brain back to his lab, which is just really cool. And she ends up following him and is like, I want to learn from you. I want to be trained in all of your magics. And he's like, it's not magic, it's science. And she's like, then I want to be trained in all your science. I don't care what it is. And I love this page because they just kind of work their way through the building as she keeps asking questions. And he's like, could you not ask any more questions? But she is determined to become a necromancer and a scientist and a doctor of her own. And this sets up that I feel like maybe she could be more of our main character as the story goes on. I think it's going to end up being kind of a tale of both this girl and Dr. Eyes, and in a very different way than you might expect. And so I can't wait to see where this goes and how these two stories continue to intersect, because this definitely set up a lot to where at the end of this issue I was like, I actually no longer care what Dr. Eyes is up to. I really just want to follow this girl and her journey. And like, it felt like this could have been the dark, like how 7 Years in Darkness is like the dark version of Harry Potter. This could have easily been like the dark version of like Witch Hat Atelier. Like after that, because this girl was like so like optimistically like, I want to do like magic, and then it's like, well, the magic we're doing is terrible, and she's like, I'm in. Like, and she's like so enthusiastic about it, and I was like, okay, give me a spin-off of this girl, whatever. Dr. Eyes, go do your nefarious things, I don't care, just give me a spin-off of this little girl. Like, I'm going to dark magic school. And it's like, I'm just gonna be a doctor of the evil science. We've got Hercules issue 2 from the Disney imprint of Dynamite Comics. We've already had a Hades story, and this is now we're getting a Hercules story. I'm here for this Megra cover. I actually specifically chose that one because she is my favorite Disney princess. I love her so much. This is Hercules has recently been on this journey. Of course, he's always just at the end of the Disney movie, he chose not to take the god status and to stay as like a demigod on Earth so that he could be with Megara and stay friends with Phil. He is still doing all the work of the gods, and in this issue, Hephaestus has called him in for help because automaton that he's created has gone crazy. We find out that maybe it's connected to the same it is connected to the same competition that he had with Aphrodite to create an object that came to life and like worshipped them, but it also may be connected to the very reason why Aphrodite has disappeared and why gods seem to be suddenly disappearing all throughout the pantheon. And Hercules is going to have to figure out that case, and we as readers get our first inclination of who it might be that is doing all of the dark deeds, but we don't. Hercules does not get that information, so we're going to see how that's going to play out in the next issue, I'm sure. Most of those have been like 3 to 4 issues, or sorry, 4 to 5 issues. I think the longest one is going to end up being the Lilo and Stitch one, so we'll see. We've got Saint Mercy Volume 2, Issue 2, and we are calling this volume Godland. This is one of those where if you didn't read Volume 1, you are going to have absolutely no idea what is going on in Volume 2. I did read Volume 1, and so that's why I'm like, I don't really know if it's connectable otherwise. But this is about a young girl who was essentially chosen to be the goddess, or the person who defends, I think it's Incan, the Incan gods and their gold. And so she has been like historically like alive since the time of the Incan rule over Central America. And so she's got this gold that she's supposed to protect, and she's got this goddess inside of her, and her sister has this darkness inside of her. Well, they end up in Hollywood in like the 1920s, 30s, golden days of Hollywood. And they are on the set to see one of her favorite, like, you know, they're trying to see the filming of one of her favorite movie stars, and on it they happen to have like guns and shootouts and stuff, and she, being from like living most recently in the Old West, as we know, is like a proficient marksman and knows everything about guns. And so that is a giant spoiler, so we'll go back this way. So she ends up becoming a part of the production crew so that she can tell them all about the guns that they're using and how to use them. And in this one, she kind of gets manipulated a little bit into going out with the star of the movie, the male star, who of course is the skeezy guy from Hollywood. And we're gonna see how that plays out for her. And we also are given, for the first time in this volume, this like ultimatum essentially from the gods and from the humans who are trying to steal her gold from her. And we're going to see if she's going to be able to protect her sister and herself as she works her way through Hollywood. We've got Uncanny Valley issue 2 from Boom Studios. This is a big Boom week. This is for all of you fans of Roger Rabbit and things of that nature. This is your story. It's all about one of those cartoon worlds and human worlds blending together. In issue 1, we have a young boy and his mom who are living on their own. And one day he is attacked by some crows who follow him home. And she is like, we have to get you out of here. We have to get you safe. And this Yosemite Sam looking character shows up and is like, I'm getting you out of here, son. Let's go. We find out that there is a very strong connection between the boy and the cartoon character. And we learn a little bit about him. And I'll show you that right there. And they are on this. He's like, I'm on this mission. I have to save you. I have to keep you safe. We have to get you to a certain person. The only way we keep you safe. Meanwhile, his mom is like, I have to keep you safe from these people. And we're going to find out, like, if there's a way to do that. But I love it because this is in the, like, desert area, so we get the coyotes, and we get to see, like, the whole, like, oh, run off the edge of the cliff, oh, run into, like, this, we gotta paint a passageway through the thing, so you get a very Looney Tunes-esque issue. It's so much fun, and there's gonna be a lot of heart. This is done by Tony Fleece, who does the Stray Dogs and now Feral, so if you are just looking for something, like, a little more sunshiny from him, but this is gonna be the one for sure. We've got Redcoat issue 2 from Image and the Ghost Machine imprint, which is Jeff Johns and Friends. And this is Jeff Johns on this book. And this is part of your Geiger universe. You don't have to read Geiger to read this. It seems like, as of right now, there's not really too much of a connection, other than that they mentioned, like, oh, I heard tales of a man who glows. And that's kind of the only reference to Geiger we've really seen. But this is about a guy named Simon Pure who was a redcoat in the Revolutionary War. And he ends up falling into a ritual that is being performed by some of the founding fathers that ends up making him immortal. He, of course, squanders that in every single way possible. And now he can't die, and so he has been squandering it for decades and just kind of getting drunk and taking people's money and stealing and doing all kinds of stuff. And there's one other person who seems to have had the same experience, and in this issue we kind of get to see their interactions. But Simon was attacked at the end of issue 1, and he is trying to figure out who attacked him, why they attacked him, and whether or not something bad is really coming for him. And he has a new young boy who is following him everywhere he goes by the name of Albert Einstein. And so this young kid is like, I have seen the future. I know things that are coming. I need you to help save the day. And Simon is, of course, a bad person, so he doesn't want to, but I'm assuming that we're going to get some goodness from him. But this wraparound cover kind of gives you a little bit of everything we've seen. It's such a fun adventure so far, and he really is one of those, like, unlikable, likable characters where you're like, I don't want to root for you, but at the same time, you're, like, completely invested in what he's doing. So, you know, this is going to be fun. Honestly, like, if you're a history person who also likes anti-hero kind of stories, this might be a good one to pick up. We've got some books launching this week. We've got Exo Man of War Invictus, issue 1 from Valiant and Alien Books. Again, if you've been like, what happened to Valiant? Where are they going? They are now being published by Alien Books, so some of your Valiant stuff will it'll also say Valiant on it, but if you see Alien Books somewhere, take a moment, pause, and look at it, because that's going to be a lot of your Valiant characters. But this is picking up where Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad's most recent Exo Man of War story ended. And this is still Becky and Michael writing it. It is not Liam Sharp on art, though. So this is new artist on it. And basically, he has landed on I assume Earth. I just always assume it's Earth when it looks earthy. But he has landed on a planet, and he is trying to help some people kind of get their lives back together and get some food and survive, and basically just, like, help these refugees. And while he attempts to charge the Man of War armor. And he still knows that the Romans are out there. They're still ruling over the space empire. They're still being terrible people. And so he is determined to get back out there and get into battle. But not only that, if you did read the previous incarnation with Becky and Michael at the helm, you know that he kind of had a relationship beginning with the prophetess who was on this ship, and so now he is trying to get back to her to also save her, and she is sending some messages to him through some others about all of the bad things that are coming his way. And so if you're a Valiant fan, your characters are back. Don't miss them. And here's a great jumping in point. For all you Spawn fans, this is the time to be a Spawn fan because everybody is getting a book. And so we've got Monolith, issue 1, coming your way from Image and, of course, the Spawn world. And this is, if you're reading Spawn right now, they kind of talked about, I'm assuming it's been touched on in Spawn because it seems to be going across this and things like Rat City and stuff. But I guess there is a point in which the Hell Spawns have essentially been trying to save the world from being destroyed, only to be the cause of the world being destroyed. And now Monolith is trying to has aligned himself with those good guys, so to speak, and is trying to fight back against some of the bad guys that he has previously worked for. If you know, he was a herald for, I believe it's Omega Spawn, the Destroyer of Worlds, and now the two of them are kind of at odds because he did choose to align with the other ones. And this is him breaking into a prison and then breaking out essentially so that he can have this battle. And so this is just the start of another Spawn book. I think like Todd at one point said he was trying to get it to where we had like 10 Spawn books coming out, and we are up to Spawn, King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, The Scorched, which are all 4, Monolith, Rat City, Salmon Twitch. So we're already at 7, and who knows what else is to come. So I'm like, there's probably one that I missed too, but I know for sure we're at 7, so there's gonna be more. Yeah, so Spawn fans, rejoice. It is your time. We've been talking about Strangers Publishing a lot recently, and here is another new one for you from them. This is God Bless the Machine. This is pretty much the size of a like mini trade paperback. I'm going to turn it this way. It's kind of like getting a little graphic novel, and Strangers Publishing has a lot of the very like zine-esque, hard-inked like story art. And so this is all about a person who was on a TV, like a reality TV show, and got kicked off and everything, but was accepted by essentially the machine, the people who are in charge of the internet and the government and all things in our life, and given a role to play, which was to basically continue making them money by doing other internet influencer type things. And at this point, he's kind of just become this guy who lounges in his house and doesn't really do anything. And they're like, hey, if you don't do anything, we're going to kick you out of your house because you're living in our space, and we can do that. And look at the people that we've done it to before. And he's like, you know what, I am going to do that. So he ends up connecting to somebody from the past and figuring out like kind of the situation that they're in, which seems to be like dire straits. And so he's like, oh my gosh, I have to do something. So he finds out that like lower level influencers than him have been kidnapped by these like space aliens, and he's like, I've got to go save them. It turns out like the one thing that the aliens love is the other influencer who's in dire straits. So he's like, maybe I can convince them to go with me. If he can, he's going to try to go out to space and save these people so that he can become a higher ranking influencer and not lose his home and not lose his job. And of course, the whole thing is just like a giant commentary on how much we rely on the machine to lead the way through what we do, how much we fall into like, I have to do this because somebody told me, like, I won't get enough likes, I won't get enough this kind of situation. And so really good, really fun. I think this was like, I think it's $10. I think it's $10. Yeah, it's $10. And I mean, that's pretty good size or price for a graphic novel that thick, and a fun story nonetheless. And one of those weird, like, off the wall. Like, honestly, like, if you haven't read Strangers yet, if you're a fan of Silver Sprocket, this is another publisher that's kind of going in that same, like, hard indie, like, direction that you need to check out. Oh my gosh, speaking of amazing, wonderful things, we've got The Return of My Bad. Volume 3 is starting this week from Ahoy Comics. I'm so excited. My Bad has so many like little anthology points, so if you've read like the first volume, you'd probably be okay to jump in here. There's just like 1 or 2 characters that you may not know. But we are introducing some new ones. So the first one, we get a couple different anthology stories in each issue. The first one is going back to the Chandelier, and they find out that he has never filed his taxes, and he's like, yeah, I have. And they're like, well, you haven't ever filed them correctly, and I'm going to cover this so you can't see that particular thing because I don't want you to, but the chandelier is like, well, what do I have to do to get out of trouble? And he makes some deals, and they're ridiculous. And then we get another story introducing a new character who is Captain Ohio. And he is fighting for good in Ohio with his sidekick, who is very much just like a Bucky Barnes, and he is Captain America. And they find out that because of all of these different heroes not being in their, space anymore, they are now looking for a new hero to come and take the mantle as like the fan favorite hero and to fight nationwide. And they're like, you don't have to be a local hero anymore. You can be a national hero. And so he is trying to figure out if that's the right for him. So he shows up to go to a party where they're going to be picking who it's going to be. And then the last one is Rush Hour and Emperor King go on a vacation to see John Adams be named the governor of this island nation. And of course, Emperor King is mad about it because he always thought he would take over this island nation and he would be the one to rule. But Rush Hour is so proud because he just accepted an invitation from a friend and isn't doing anything nefarious in his trip down here, which of course, Emperor King is our ultimate villain in the My Bad universe. So who could believe that he would do anything just to be a positive friend? It's hilarious. It's amazing. Mark Russell, once again, the best satirical writer in modern American literature, and you can enjoy it all in comic book form. I'm going to take another drink really fast. Up next, we have 7 Years in Darkness. This is year 2, or volume 2, and this is issue 1, kicking that off. If you don't know 7 Years in Darkness, I should have brought it with me, there is a great single issue kind of trade that it's all 4 of the first issues of the first volume in one like floppy comic. It is $9.99, and you get 4 issues. It's just not like bound like a trade, it's bound like a floppy issue comic, which is super cool. So you could grab that for $10 and then jump in from here. This is Joseph Schmock doing his incredible thing that he does. And it's all about a wizarding world where 72 kids get chosen to go into the darkness, to go to this school where they're going to learn dark magic. And only 7 of them will make it out over the course of the 7 years at most. And these kids have been going to this school, and it has been dark and creepy and terrible, and they have finally made it to the next year of their schooling, and there is a demonic possession that comes through that really messes things up for everybody in this very first couple of days and this new year. And it's fantastic. I love that instead of just giving us the classic, like, okay, we went to this school, we're learning, we're following the one person, we're going to see how this plays out for them. It's almost like Joseph is giving us like different people's experiences at different points in time through that. Like he told us the whole first year in 4 issues, and it was kind of like that, like, oh, so-and-so had this experience and so-and-so had this experience, and now we're kind of picking up with somebody else on that first like time period. So it's really cool, it's really dark and fun, and I think Joseph Schmock has some of the coolest art, so I'm so happy to see that book back, and it's so good. We've got the Scale Trade, issue 1 from Magma Comics. This is Steve Orlando's newest one with the new publisher Magma, so super cool. And this is in a world where dragons have already existed. They've become an endangered species. Dragons have bred with other species, and so those species are all either endangered or protected. And of course, people are people, and there is a group of people who are like trying to, that are black marketing, just like anything else that's an endangered animal. Black market, like sales of their flesh, of their like scales, of just all kinds of different stuff. And so there is a branch of the government essentially that works to stop the trade of scales as it is. And we meet a guy who's like the old rugged guy who's like, I've been doing this forever, and every partner I've ever had has left the second they got on the job. And the new guy's like, I have been studying this my whole life. Like, this is what I went to school for. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I don't want to show you that. I know that I can handle this. And that's so cool. And so they go out on their first mission, and he can handle it. He can handle it in his own way. And you're going to see exactly what that means. I love it that they call him the newly radicalized dragon savior, taking matters into his own hands. And for anybody who is like, you shouldn't hurt animals because they're innocent creatures, Steve Orlando is totally on your side, and he has put that into a conversation about dragons, and he is going to go there, and it's going to be great. And also there's going to be like the most adorable dragon story somewhere in here that's just going to be fantastic, so check it out. I'm so stoked. We've got Heart Piercer issue 1 from Dark Horse Comics. For all my sword and sorcery fans, this is so fantastic because this is done with a female like barbarian kind of situation. This is all about this, like, that ultimate warrior kind of person. She's essentially our Conan, and she is trying to prove to the leader that she is the ultimate warrior for him and the one worthy of his heart. And so she goes out and she actually like legitimately slays a unicorn. I'm not going to show you that page. And is like, I have brought this for you. Aren't I perfect and wonderful? And this is all in like the first 2 pages. And he's like, yes, you're wonderful. And then something happens and you're like, oh, he did not think that the way that he said he did. Also, we just talked about decompressing in comics, and there's a great shot of that. And so it was just, you know, she wakes up essentially from this conversation with him and is like, I have to seek my revenge. I have to stop this darkness that's happened. Like, the world has been overrun with darkness. How long was I out? What happened? Where did I go? What is going on? Like, where did all these like dark demonic people come from? And she's like, I don't know, but I have to be the one to stop them. And now she's on this mission, and she is a totally awesome warrior, and I cannot wait to see what she does next. She's so cool. She's just gonna be like totally kick butt all over the place, and it's gonna be awesome. And there's gonna be some great revenge, and there's gonna be some great like destruction, and she's gonna be so cool the whole time. So I'm excited. We've got Psycho List issue 1. I'm like, did I read this? Yes, I did. This is like the first book I read. I'm like, did I read this? We're going to skip it while I look at it, because I think I did. I have to remember the ending. And then we're going to come back to this, because I'm like, what happened at the end? Oh, okay, we're going to come back, because now I only want to spoil the end. Okay, so we're going to go to My Body Unspooling, and this is a new Silver Sprocket book. And this is all about Lucille and his body and just how much at odds they are. You know, Lucille is like, I don't like my body. I don't like the way it feels. He's like, everything about my body is strange. And then the body is like, I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like the way you talk about me. You never do anything to support me and work out and like keep me safe and all of this stuff. And he's like, I don't want to be a part of you, and you don't want to be a part of me. So they go to God and they ask for a divorce. And they're like, we have to separate ourselves and figure out how to like live our lives without each other. And so essentially like his mind and spirit goes one direction and his body goes the other. And they kind of just see like how much how much you need each other, like how much your body and your mind can't really be apart, and it's like what ties us together and what keeps us going, and what we need those pieces for and how we need to be careful with each one. It's so beautiful, it's so well done, and it's got like some of the strangest, most awesome, like cool Silver Sprocket art that you kind of expect. But if you haven't checked it out, this is like, if you've never checked out a Silver Sprocket book, buy lots of them. But this one is such a great one that's just like, stop being mean to your body, and body, stop being mean to your mind. All right. Okay, so now I have to remember all of what happened in this. And I don't... How did it start? Oh, yeah. Oh, this is okay. So this is the dude that, what was his job? I gotta remember what his job was, because he had this job and he is going after all these bad guys, and I really like the way that he's doing it. He's very much, but I'm trying to remember if he has like an actual, like, he has an actual job, and I don't think it's just detective, but essentially this guy is like he has that like job of like normal stuff, like investigating different crimes. Oh, that's what it is. He's a domestic abuse like therapist, and he kind of has that daredevil essentially kind of mentality. I knew he had a regular day job. He kind of has that daredevil mentality of like, I'm gonna listen to my clients, and then I'm gonna go and take him out myself. And so that's exactly what he's doing in this issue, is like he's going after a bunch of people who are on his psycho list. And essentially it's like everybody he ever hears about in his clients' confidentiality situations, he adds them to his list, and he's just taking them off one by one and like just absolutely like destroying them. And then he gets kind of wrangled into some mess that he doesn't want to be in, and he's like, they are like, you have to come in, you have to be a part of this, and he's like, I'm not going to do that, like, I've got my thing, I'm on the low ground. And there's some twists and turns in here that, like I just said, when I was like, ooh, that ending, because the ending is huge, but they are trying to get him to join their Bureau of Investigations and their fighting team and all this stuff, and he's like, I'm just here to do the right thing, like, these people are awful, somebody's got to stand against them. He's definitely going to get pulled into a mess. And like I said, I was so excited when I remembered that ending, because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that twist, it's gonna be crazy. I also just like to see those books where like they're like, I have my clients, and I just go out and actually like bring justice to the world my way, because it's always fun. Okay, so I got 3 picks of the week for you. As always, I Heart Skull Crusher, issue 3 from Boombox. This is the teen imprint of Boom. This is going to be really on the older teen side. Like, there's so much in it that I'm like, but it feels like, it honestly feels like reading like the American version of a manga. Especially like some of it gets really like crazy out there. So if you haven't read it, this is about Trini, who lives in the wasteland, and all she's ever wanted to do was play a murder ball, essentially. It's not what it's actually called, but it's called like Death Ball. They're out there trying to like kill people, literally, like in this combo of like hockey derby kind, like roller derby hockey kind of situation, and like literally you're just like supposed to try to kill the other team. And she's always wanted to play because she saw her hero Skull Crusher play when she was a little kid. They just issued a challenge where the queen of all the world is like, hey, if you come in, we'll bring you, you know, if you win this team, like the winning team, like one of the players will get to be on our actual team and gets to play with Skull Crusher. And she's like, oh my god, I have to do that, I have to get on the team, I have to meet Skull Crusher. And so it's kind of one of those post-apocalyptic like Tank Girl kind of situations where like the world trades in water, so she has to gather the water, and in the process she also has to gather a team. And so she has been building the worst team in the whole world. She's got a coach who used to be an all-star, but now he's just like a drunken mess. She's got 2 thieves. She's got some guy who actually should be like the best player in the league, but he's kind of too full of himself to do anything. And they needed a goalie, so their coach traded some of their supplies for a mutant bear. That's actually just a bear. And that's where we are in this issue. Like, the coach is like, I got us this mutant bear. And they were like, coach, that's not a mutant, that's just a bear. And he's like, I beg to differ, he's got a hat on. Like, could a regular bear wear a hat? And they're like, yes. And so they are locked into a school in this issue by their coach, who's like, if you guys can't work as a team to get out of there, you'll never win on the ice. You're not going to be able to be a team that can play together if you can't survive this. And they're like, he's like, you all have to work together, including Dave. And they're like, the bear? And then they realize that they're trapped in a building with a very hungry bear, and they need to figure out how to get out. And it is amazing. They also have a match that they have to win in order to stay in the tournament. It's so much fun. It's ridiculous, outlandish. It's also super serious and super full of heart all at the same time. It's so well done. Somebody please adapt this into honestly, adapt it into an anime, because it just would be amazing. All right, so this week is the 70th anniversary of the man himself, Godzilla. And I had to put this in my picks of the week because there's so many stories in here that I absolutely loved. But this is an anthology honoring Godzilla and all of the greatness that he is. This first story is all about Godzilla fighting Hedorah and the people who are on essentially hired to be the cleanup crew. And they're like, oh, this can't be too bad. Like, we're on kaiju duty, so we just clean up, like, the blood or mess from the kaijus, but Hedorah is a very messy kaiju, and they find that out very quickly. The second story that's in here is all about Godzilla fighting this giant mosquito that is imbued with like this infectious disease, and like basically everywhere he goes he infects everybody, and Godzilla is trying to stop the infection from happening, and the woman who created it has to come literally face to face with Godzilla and figure out whether or not she made some bad choices with her life, which is a really cool way to do this. Then the third story is about a guy who's a con artist, and he is lying and saying that he's selling all this kaiju stuff, and he gets lucky because Godzilla attacks the people that he's trying to sell stuff to, and he ends up in his own battle for his life and against one of the people, as Godzilla is fighting across the space. And then here we go, and then there's the fourth story with art and like storyboarding, writing and stuff, because it features a poem essentially that goes across it, but with mostly a gorgeous Matt Frank doing what Matt Frank does when it comes to Godzilla, making these beautiful double page spreads. And this features, like I said, a poem about the Godzilla and the way that he impacts the world and the things that he does for them. And it is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. It's a young girl finds like a trilobite essentially in the water, and she is running through a Godzilla attack zone trying to save it because she thinks she's the only one that can. Meanwhile, Godzilla is of course doing Godzilla things. It's just so gorgeous. I just want to just like keep looking at it because it's so cool. I love Matt Frank. Matt Frank is probably one of my favorite Godzilla artists. It's fantastic, and Matt, if you're watching, dude, you're so cool, dude. And then we have this really great story about a young boy whose mom tells him he needs to go to sleep, and he gets really scared because he goes upstairs and he sees Godzilla's eyes, and then he thinks he's being attacked by Godzilla, and he's not gonna make it. But then guess what? Sometimes you get some help coming in to save the day. The wrap-up of the story is so cute. It was actually one of the most heartwarming stories in the entire book. I absolutely, I cheered.
It looks like a kid's book.
It does. It's supposed to look like a kid's picture book, and when you get to the end, honestly, that one might be one of your favorites for how cute it is. This one is all about Godzilla fighting a snail type thing that's come from the water, and all these little like snail pod things keep absorbing people and kind of taking them in, and everybody's like, we have to leave, and this old man's like, I don't want to leave, this is where I built my store, I should be here helping people, and they're like, you can't, it's flooding, and he ends up having to like help a bunch of people through, and kind of relying on like the community that he built, which is why he didn't want to leave his town. And then we have a Mothra story that's actually like an Old West town where a bunch of women who are trying to get away from men and how terrible they've been to them over time have come to live with Mothra in this Old West and like defend each other and themselves, and it's fantastic. Man, I love Mothra, and man, I love that story. It's so good. Look at my girl. She's so cool. I love it. The twins are even in there. The Mothra twins are in there, and it's all Old Westy, so it's super cool. And then we've got one from Michael Conrad that is all about a young boy whose dad died during the very first Godzilla attack, and him growing up and being like, I want to hate Godzilla, so I'm going to study him so I know how to defeat him. And then as he grows, he kind of learns that like Godzilla isn't the enemy, and maybe he needs to like rethink everything he's been taught about the way that people approach Godzilla and approach each other and you know, experiences. It's such a awesome story as well. And then we just have one last story that's called Aftermath, and it's about a nurse who is in the aftermath of a kaiju attack and is trying to help people kind of put themselves back together and kind of figuring out like how do we go on and how do we work together and how do we realize like what we still have to offer the world and what the world still has to offer us. Now, if you notice, we're celebrating 70 years of Godzilla, and all of those stories were all about humans. Because Godzilla movies are all about the human stories and all about the way it happens. There's like really like not one single story is technically about the Godzilla attack. They're all about like a human being and the way that they are like using the attack or being affected by the attack or helping other people through the attack or hurting people through the attack or whatever, because that's what Godzilla is all about. Godzilla stories have been some of the best stories of the best and worst of humanity for the last 70 years, and the kaijus are a representation of both the best and worst of humanity, and we get to see that in this by so many different people and in so many different ways. And so if you haven't read it yet, grab it. I know I've heard people already say that it's hard to find, but you know, find it because it's great. I have one right there. And then lastly, we've got Marguerite versus the Occupation. This is a one-shot from CEX Publishing, and I knew when I saw this book in the order period that being from CEX and being what it was supposed to be, it was going to be amazing. And I was not wrong. Just seriously, like you could, this is, I mean, if you're a Captain, oh my gosh, Captain Carter, thank you. I was like, if you're a Captain Carter fan, you're going to love this because this essentially could have just been Haley Atwell, like, running through this book. But this is about a girl named Marguerite who comes home during World War II to find out that her home has been occupied by some soldiers from the other side. And she is determined to take them out. And she ends up seeing a brigade of like, I think it's British and American, and they're waiting on the French to come and help back them up, and they're trying to take out this same brigade that she is like mad is in her house, and they all get taken down except for one young boy, and she's like, I can help you, I can stop this is my home, this is like my stomping ground, I've been imagining this attack like my whole life of like what I would do if somebody was attacking me, and I'm not gonna let them take my house. And so this like college age girl is just like, I'm gonna be the one to stop them. Get ready. On my count, this is how we're going to do it. And you just see her whole build-up and explosion through the air of greatness. Seriously, creative team behind this is John Luzar, Casey Quavito on art, and Laurel Dundee on colors, Tobin Raciat on lettering. I'm naming all of you because I want you to know that one is not enough. I need an entire Marguerite series because she is so awesome. I love her spunk. I love her intelligence. I love like how funny she is. I love how determined that she is. She is everything I want in a comic book hero. And I need her to have a full, like Matt the other day was like, I want 75 issues of a book. I want 75 issues of Marguerite taking down all of these evil people, and I want to enjoy that. I want it to be like every month filled with greatness of Marguerite. So CEX, creative team, all of you, just know I'm not going to be happy with just one, even though this was fantastic. It is definitely my pick of the week. I even said that when it came in. I was like, okay, so anyway, like somebody was going through their box and they were like, what's this? And I was like, my pick of the week. And they were like, have you read it yet? And I was like, don't need to, already know, love Marguerite, love what she's up to, here for it. And I was right. So please give me more. It's so good. And if you didn't read it yet, it's one shot, one and hopefully not done, but at least one and done for right now. You can enjoy Marguerite and the Occupation. It's so good. All right, we've got a bunch of other books in stock that I'm going to fly through. We got Rat City issue 2, also part of your Spawn universe. I am behind on this. I actually just finished issue 1, so I didn't get to talk about issue 2 today. We've got Carnage issue 7, and I think that cover's so cool. We've got The Outsiders also hitting issue 7, and Suicide Squad Dream Team issue 3 of 4. And if you are a fan of Natalie, Natalie Maines, is that her name? No, Natalie Maines is the girl from the Dixie Chicks. She is Nicole Maines. If you're a fan of Nicole Maines, who is like the originator of the role of Dream Dreamer on the CW and everything like that, you should hit up Arsenal Comics over in California, because they just had her out, and I believe they said they still have some signed copies of some of her books. So just saying, just throwing that out there. The Walking Dead Deluxe issue 89. Those are all the color reprints of The Walking Dead. We had Alien Black, White, and Blood issue 4, and they just make the coolest covers for these. We had Batman and Robin issue 9, and we have our AAPI celebration covers going on right now. Make sure you grab those. Blue Beetle issue 9, which is super cool. Looks like he's got some like new skills and pieces of his costume. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero issue 306. This is the Larry Hama G.I. Joe. We are about to get to the launch point of the G.I. Joe that connects into your Skybound universe, but this is the continuation of that ongoing G.I. Joe for so long. Green Lantern issue 11. And Red Hood issue 4, which I'm really excited. There's a Red Hood book on the shelf right now. We've got Sinister Sons issue 4. This is from Pete Smossi, who gave you your Super Sons. Now he's giving you the sons of Sinestro and Zod, which is crazy. Star Wars Mace Windu issue 4. We've got Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue 20. We've got Action Comics issue 1065, and this is a part of our big Brainiac event that is going on right now. Ultimate X-Men issue 3. Oh my gosh, the Ultimate Universe is growing so fast. We've got X-Men Forever issue 4 with this cool Jim Rugg Phoenix cover, which is super cool. And then I was like, have to spend extra time on it. And then we've got some trade paperbacks in stock. We've got finally the first volume of the G. Willow Wilson Poison Ivy. This is the first 6 issues finally in trade paperback form. I'm so excited. This has been such a great one, and I keep falling behind, so I'm glad the trades are starting to come out so that I can catch up with everybody. Oh my gosh, we're gonna go this way. We've got Covenant Volume 1, and this is about an exorcist. I'm going to read this to you because I will mess up. Exorcist Ezra's faith is waning when God intervenes and sends him on a mission to protect Sunny, who seems normal but is being like haunted by demon forces. Sunny runs from a bloody past. Ezra attempts to fulfill his duty to find themselves closer together. War, church scrutiny, all kinds of demons, crazy things. This is a debut first book from this team or from this creator, and this is a supernatural webcomic put together into this from Oni Press. So it was a webtoon specifically, so if you are a fan of webtoons, you may have seen that already. And then I am going to say this wrong. Asunboshi. This is also an Oni Press book, and this is a retelling of classic Japanese folktale, reminding us that one is not born a hero, you must discover your courage. And it's so pretty. Oh my gosh. It just looks like, you kind of looks like you're watching a Pixar movie. I'm going to show you some of that inside. It's one of those books where I'm already like, I'm going to probably cry when I read this. But I love that, like, there is, it just looks like, look at these giant skeletons that they're fighting. This is going to be great. I can't wait to read it. It won, did it win? From the Russ Manning, Most Promising Newcomer Award nominee, Ryan Lang, comes an epic graphic novel retelling the folklore about the 6-inch samurai Ishunboshi. I'm so excited. And then 2 of the fan favorite books at Bad City in the last year have become collected editions. We've got Dear Editor from Mad Cave, which this is a 3-part series. It's all collected now, which is great because if you want to read it, that's the only way you're getting it at Bad City, because we sold out all over the place of this. This is so fantastic. This is all about Bucky, who is a crime beat reporter at his newspaper, and he ends up falling into a mess. I love it because he's the only anthropomorphic animal in it. This was really like just a kickoff of fantastic over and over again, like out of the park hits from Mad Cave that are going on right now, and this has definitely been the one that really got all of our customers like right now like talking about Mad Cave, getting ready for everything that came, and now they're just adding everything to their boxes. And then we've got the Universal Monsters Dracula. This is from James Tynion IV and Martin Simmons, your team behind Department of Truth, kicking off the Universal Monsters imprint at Image Skybound. This is the 4 issues about telling their story that is going to kind of give you a little bit of the classic Dracula with a little bit of a twist on it, and it leads us into the fact that we are bringing out the entire Universal Monsters line. So Creature from the Black Lagoon is right now. We are going to see Frankenstein this summer. You know, who knows if it'll be Wolfman or Mummy after that, but I'm so excited that the Universal Monsters are here, and Martin Simmons' art just does some really cool stuff for Dracula. That's all the books I got for you. Don't forget, before I bring this wine back out, don't forget that this Saturday at noon we have Stories Spelunkers, and we'll be talking about Primer. We're going to read this. Kids who come get to keep this book. It's really fun. We're going to do some cool painting and projects that were to be announced at the event, so don't miss it. It's at noon. It runs from 12 to 1 this Saturday. We also have on Thursday night, we have our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night. It starts at 8 p.m. after the store closes, so come hang out with me and make some new friends. And of course, Wednesday's New Comic Book Day, and there's going to be a lot of great books that you're going to want to pick up, so we will definitely see you there. Until then, don't forget you can enjoy a bottle of Pico Andico Malbec from Argentina. It's fantastically smooth and delicious and makes for a great pairing with all of this week's comics, so make sure you grab some and grab your books. And as always, happy reading, everyone.